Cheryl's muted.
Yeah, I just moved into my computer office and it's let's finish setting up your PC. So the plan was I was going to look at my computer and see the document and everything and be on my iPad, and that plan's already gone. So welcome to the, as usual, San Carlos Computer Club, where there's some technical problems by the person hosting. Scott Simpson is the organizer of this lovely event. He's got us going out on his YouTube channel, but he is otherwise busy today. Oh, somebody just left the call. Okay, so I don't see Judy. I don't see a few of our usuals here. My updated computer updated its Windows, and now it wants to reset up things, and it's all over the place. Okay, Bill came back. I don't know what happened to Jim, and it looks like we lost the computer club as well.
You're doing a good job, Cheryl.
I didn't even touch anything.
Well,
I'm still here.
Moderator,
Weeding is out.
when you're the moderator, you got to have at least one problem.
Well, Scott's still there, but I don't know what happened to Jim, because he said he had a technology problem that he wanted to talk to us about.
Yeah, and he did disappear just right after we started. I'm going to put a link to our...
And this is what my computer's doing that I was going to be using.
Nah. But here's a link to the document that I created for this meeting. You definitely don't have to follow it. I got a couple of news articles in there, but it's kind of a starting place.
I'm going to go find my phone so that I can have the document. Okay, well, Scott's getting that document up. I'm wondering, did he put it in the messaging? Yep. So Scott was at that great big huge Power Trip concert this weekend, and I see that it all it looked like an amazing concert with everybody there. And we're about ready to get to Vegas, where they've got a huge new technology thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called the Sphere. Billy, maybe you can bring up the statistics on it for me. But there was a Canadian company out of Montreal, out of Quebec, that were working on the LED lights. And the numbers, the thousands, the millions, whatever, of lumens in this thing. It's a great big, huge ball entertainment center where they have a light show on the inside and on the outside. So this thing is sitting in the middle of Las Vegas, just a block off the strip, right beside our condos. We have a timeshare property right there. So we're going to get to go and see it. And I know our friends that are with Jim and Linda right now, they have seen it about a month ago. And it's quite the endeavor. U2, the band, was playing. They were the first big act to play in there. It looks like an amazing facility.
I was wondering if they're going to have a drone performance.
They've already had drone performances. Like the Formula One is coming up in November. And last year, on the anniversary, like the 1 year date before it, they did all these drones and they did advertising all over the Caesar's Palace entrance with all these drones in the air. So they do a lot with that already.
It's probably a pretty big job of programming for those displays.
Oh, God. I would love to see their control booth. I think I have this theory, though, that if they turned every light on max, they'd have one gigantic light oven. You could bake bread in there. People. You could bake people, you know.
Aerial bread.
Sphere bread. Sphere bread.
So, Paul, were you telling Scott that you had a virus that took out your?
Yeah, it kidnapped my computer,
Oh,
but I got rid of it. I've done it before when I got these kidnappings.
huh.
If I wait 3 or 4 days, they give up. I figure I'm not going to make the phone call to talk to their technician to solve my problem. Jim's talking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, I said that's interesting. So you just wait them out?
Yeah,
Well, that's good to know.
I've never had one like that. So,
Well, you could wait long
they
enough.
sound like they're here to help you. You know, they say that they're working with the mothership. You know, the company. That they work with, for them or with them, but all they're doing is seizing your computer, and then they have the electronic key to unlock you. But if you just wait them out, they give up.
Do they
Good
turn
to
it
know.
back on then?
Then I started. I was using Edge instead of Chrome for a day, and it was slow. I before I turned it off, I mean, I did an emergency shutdown by holding the switch down because they wouldn't give me any controls to my computer.
Right.
So I did that and then waited 3 or 4 days.
And then just turn it back on and everything was okay?
Well, when I turned it back on, it did an update, which of course took 15 minutes. And then I put my password in, and it had to think 3 or 4 minutes before it would respond and stuff like that.
Right.
But today, when I turned it on, it just snapped right to.
Whoa. Good.
If
Yeah.
if I could just try theorizing why that's working for you, Paul, I'm imagining. I mean, first of all, the kind of threat that you're describing is one that comes through the web browser, appears as a pop-up from a company like Microsoft.
Yeah.
It could also appear as though it's from McAfee's or Norton's, but the most common one is it comes from Microsoft, and they're there to help you get this out. And if you start clicking through, which is not a recommendation, you shouldn't be clicking anything. And Paul knows better than to click anything, so he hasn't. But if you were to start clicking through, it would be working on helping you purchase a service to clean up your computer from Microsoft. You don't want to do any of that.
Well, you know, I got tricked the first time. I got a message saying that these people were working with Microsoft, and they look at the number of errors that your computer reports to Microsoft, and they said, "Oh, you've got so many errors that must have a virus." And so, for a couple of $100, they scanned my computer and got rid of all the viruses. But
Did you say
every
you went through
computer
something like that?
feeds errors to Microsoft. So, I mean, every
Oh yeah, no,
Android computer.
I
So
understand. Every
it's not
Windows.
a lie, but it doesn't mean anything.
That's right. Is when you do follow through on this stuff, when you do call that number, start chatting who's supposed to be helping you, then one of their grifts is to bring you into the event log of your computer. Many novices have never even seen the event log before. And they go in and they point at these errors and say, hey, look, see those red exclamation points? That's where this virus is trying to steal your information or take over your computer. And really, if you go into any event log in any computer on any operating system, it would look different. Let me state that. If you're on a Mac, Linux, or Windows, those things don't look the same at all. But what they all have in common is something has gone wrong at some point and it's been reported in the log. And so that's what they do is they pull out these very generic general errors that all computers will have and they'll document and they'll point at them and say, "Hey, look at that. That's the virus doing its job." So it's just a grift. Fortunately, Paul knows better.
Yeah.
And if I could theorize why your system of waiting works, and you did say you got an update right after you turned it back on, and I think
It
that's
was,
what,
it was slow. It did an update,
yeah.
which is slow, of course, but every time I operate it now, it goes faster.
Well, and I just, because I was gone over the weekend, there were some updates that came out, and when I turned on my systems this morning, they were running really slow, and sure enough, there was 4 or 5 different updates that needed to get installed, and they were affecting the performance of the computer. So that might explain some of your slowness, but
Yeah.
I theorize that those kinds of viruses, they are able to pop up because they're exploiting a hole in the web browser. Most all our web browsers are based on Chrome, so it can get in through whatever hole happens to exist at that moment in time, through Opera, through Edge, through Chrome. It just depends on which one you're using at the time. And I suspect what happened with you, Paul, is you turned it off, waited 4 days, the hole was found and fixed, and the next time you turned on Chrome, oh, and you hadn't gotten infected with Edge. That's the reason you were able to use Edge without the same experience.
Right.
I would theorize though that if you immediately started getting pop-ups to fix your computer in Chrome and you moved over to Edge and you went back to exactly the same thing you were doing in Chrome, you would have immediately gotten yourself infected with the same thing in Edge as well.
Yeah.
Because Edge can't protect you against that hole because the hole that's being taken advantage of is brand new and affects every browser that's using the Chromium engine at that moment. So just turning it off kept Edge from getting infected with it from whatever you're doing, whatever illicit stuff you're doing, Paul. And and then by waiting a few days and bringing it back up to life, one of the first things Chrome does is check and sees if there's a new version out there when you first turn it on. And I suspect that's happened is you've waited past an update period. And I suspect you won't see that pop up again until the next time there's a hole that they haven't patched.
Well, the first one that I had is one of these outfits in India, and this fellow robber who makes who tricks the tricksters in India. He has several YouTube uh, uh, examples of how evil they are and how he tricks them. He sends glitter bombs to them and cockroach bombs. He says they especially don't like cockroach bombs. And but what they do is the second year they called they maybe they called me up and said oh, when you bought our service before, you overpaid us, so we're going to give you $200 back. And
Wow.
so I
That's an
said, oh,
easy way
great,
to
you
get
know.
this
So
thing.
they said we're going to put it into your bank account. And
Okay.
so, like a fool, I gave them access to my bank account. And so they said, here we go, here's $200. And it showed a deposit of $2,000. And they said, oh my goodness, we messed up. That's a computer glitch, you know. You have to give us back $1,800. We'll tell you how to do it. And I looked at that, and because I was looking at my bank statement and it said an extra $2,000 in my checking account, and I was supposed to go to Western Union and send them the money. Some of the tricksters ask for gift cards now, so
Yeah.
you go to the grocery store and get gift cards, but I had my money market account and it was down $2,000. So they were able to transfer $2,000 from my money market into my checking account.
Oh, to make you believe they
And
had given you 2,000.
right, and that's when I started cold shouldering them and hanging up on them all the time.
Well, that was good. You recognized that right off the bat. So even though the money wasn't where it was supposed to be, you still had control of it.
Yeah. But anyway, those hacker videos on YouTube are very entertaining and educational.
Well, I was just trying to pull one up.
This guy
There's
Robert is an engineer, and the one video that I saw first was how he had squirrel Olympics in his backyard, and he was tired of the squirrels getting the bird seed, so he started setting up obstacle courses for them, and the squirrels would have to go through all these obstacles all around his backyard before they got the walnuts. And it's a very, very interesting video also.
Paul, you use YouTube a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You know, during COVID, I got using YouTube for two main things. The one was I bought myself a drum, and there were all kinds of people that would have songs with the notes and everything, the notations on them. In fact, I bought a book off of somebody that I was following on YouTube and playing my drum along with it. And the other thing is that the YouTube has all kinds of cooking shows and things, and I was introduced to Jacques Pepin during COVID shutdowns.
Okay.
And to this day, we have about 4 or 5 different recipes that we just love of his. And I have them there. I subscribe to anything that Jacques Pepin, and I save them to my YouTube and look it up when I need to. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah. And the other thing is that
I started by watching Russian car crashes first, but
yeah. Well, ours, our smart TV has the YouTube on it, so I can watch it in big, screen too. And I know like Mark Mulligan has his shows on there, and probably could use YouTube more often. Oh, and also Facebook, Meta, they won't share Canadian news content. So, but I can watch my global news articles on YouTube and things like that. So
I also use TikTok a lot. People say that it's dangerous, but I never post anything, so I don't know how dangerous it is for me. I'm just an observer.
Well, I was just an observer, but that's when I clicked on a TikTok that somebody had posted on Facebook, And the next thing you know, my messenger was sending out all kinds of things about, did you hear so and so died? And, you know, click on this link. And I associate it directly with opening a YouTube. So
Okay.
I installed YouTube because my great niece is a model and well, she has a couple of things on her TikTok channel. So I downloaded it onto my iPad years ago when she was first doing that. And I had all kinds of grief with it. And I was getting all these notices and I just got really fed up with it. So I deleted it. And then I clicked back on it one time. Next thing you know, I've got messages going out and upsetting people. So I don't do TikTok.
Okay.
Okay.
My granddaughter thinks I should. Both of them, but that's okay. Jimmy, you
Okay.
said you had a technology thing?
I do. It is extremely frustrating right now. I bought Linda a inexpensive smartwatch, and it's worked quite well for the last couple of months. But I went to update it yesterday, and it took me to 2 screens, and I'm now locked up, and I can't get out of these 2 screens. And I don't know what to do about it. And I think this is, if anybody's had any experience with off-shelf smartwatches, not the Android or the Apple, but this one happens to be an SKG. I would be grateful to figure out how to get out of these 2 screens, because
Look it up on YouTube, and there might be an operation video on.
It says SKG has an official site.
Yeah, Sam, Carrie, George.
Okay. Do you know what? Is that a Pro? Is that a V8 Pro? A V?
Without having to. Unfortunately, I'm on my phone right now as a screen, so I can't look it up. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can. Hold 1 second.
Have you got the phone right there? I mean, the watch right there?
Yeah. This is what the watch looks like.
Okay. Oh, and that's the screen that you're stuck on.
Right.
And you've turned it off and held down the power button and.
Hold
all
on, so
that.
you're stuck on a QR code screen. Is there any writing around it?
Well, it actually gives me 2 screens. The first one is download the Very Fit app to your phone from the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, and then if you slide to the right, it gives you this cue card so that you can download it. Well, in the meantime, I had already downloaded the app. The watch is synced with Linda's phone. All of that took place, but I'm still locked up on these 2 screens, and I can't get out of it.
Hit it with a hammer.
Good idea. Good idea.
Actually, the easiest way to get it to work is buy another one, and that one will start working within 5 minutes.
Boy, isn't that the truth, Bill?
It's the same
Bill
finding
suggests we buy
An Apple Watch.
a new one, and this will start working within 5 minutes.
Oh, there you go. That's probably true.
Does your watch, does it have a message about scanning the QR
Bill.
code? Does it say something like to activate the watch?
Nope. The only thing on these 2 screens, screen 1 says download the Very Fit app to your phone from the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, and then if you slide to the right, it gives you that Q code to be able to, and it gives the a designation ID 207, and this watch is synced to Linda's phone, and the Bluetooth recognition is ID 207, showing that it's connected.
Okay. I think, is it working on her phone? I don't think it is. I
Linda, may I
think
have your phone? Okay.
I think
Okay.
what's probably going on is maybe it was working, but I bet you have no new data. And I think you are still pairing.
Okay, tell me again what you just said.
Well, I think, hold on a second. I've got a YouTube app or the YouTube thing here talking about this same problem.
Yeah, I've found one
Try,
too. How to
try
change it.
this. Take her phone and the camera app, just point it at that QR code. And then the camera app should give you a link if you haven't already done this, and just see where it takes you.
I have, but I will do it again. Just a second.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless it's supposed to be paired with your phone, then we should be working.
TIDO link. It was at one time, but I deleted all of that. Okay.
Well, it's easy enough to put that stuff back in.
When I clicked on the QR code, it sent me to the App Store and the Very Fit, quote, Very Fit, end quote, app. And beneath it says open because I've already downloaded that app to her phone.
All right.
I open it, and I get into it. I mean, I have access to all of the data.
Does it show the device?
Oh, Scott. Yeah, okay. I forgot about this. Yeah, there's a thing where it says pair the device or add a device. I hit that, pair the device, one device found. Take out the device, charged, activated. I did. Put it close to your phone, and
are you going through a pairing process right now?
It's trying to.
Okay.
All I did, it just says I found the device. Take out the device, charge it, activate it, put it close to your phone. But
you don't have a devices pairing yet?
No.
Not telling you you have to have the Bluetooth on the phone?
Yeah, Bluetooth is on.
What if you go Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so it recognizes that there is a device, but I can't see how to pair the, wait a minute, pair the device. Wait a minute, let's see. Okay, wait a minute. It's now doing something it hadn't done before. Let's see. It looks like it's trying to pair. But really, okay, device is pairing with phone. Please tap. Oh, Scott?
I did it. Good.
By George, I think you did it. Let's see if, yeah, I've got out of those two screens.
All right.
Thank you, men. And
You're
women.
welcome. Yeah, it sounds like it just had not finished its pairing process.
Apparently so.
Club success number 1.
Hey, and And you know, I found it because I stuck your ID number in. I found the instructions by putting in a Google search the name.
ID 207.
Yeah, that ID 207. And I think we're going to see ID 207 and the like more often with these knockoff smartwatches because they're all running the same software, the same circuit. They're just released by different manufacturers.
Yeah. Well, that is good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So now we can all count Linda's steps with her.
Yes. Linda, everybody's going to be watching your step count.
I don't know that I figured that out yet.
All right. Excellent. That's it for me.
Okay, so we got viruses, hackers stealing Paul's computer, your smartwatch fixed.
Oh, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
It says the date is 11/31. Now that can't be.
I think you have to, I have to set that on my app. I go back into the app on the phone. It's easier to set it on the phone than it is on the thing. So you sync it with, if your phone is up to date with your date and your weather and your location and all that stuff.
Okay. I'm opening it up right now. Log in.
And it should have the right time and everything. It could be settings inside that app or something.
Okay.
Yeah, my app is called Glory Fit for my Android.
Hey, can I have my phone?
Just a second, honey. Okay, I lost the screen.
Well, it was called something, wasn't it? Fit or something?
Say that again.
What's the name of your app for the phone?
Oh, Very Fit. VERYFIT. One word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go in.
Can I have my watch?
No.
No.
So it has the wrong date on it and the time?
Right. Let's see what the time is. Oh. There it is. I got it. Okay.
Go.
We're good.
So it's got Tuesday the 10th.
Right. And 11:34.
11:34 here. Paul, you must be still 10:34. Yeah, and Terry, I don't know what time it is in Alaska. Okay. What else do we have to talk about, guys?
Good question.
I know Judy's on the road today. Chester didn't make it in. Not sure where he is.
We talk about the price of tea in China. Oh, our gas price came down a little bit.
Oh, did it?
Below $5 now.
Good to know.
I just wonder how the price of gas is manipulated. You have one earthquake somewhere in the world, and all of a sudden, price of gas goes from $4.50 to $5.50, $6. Oh well, the supply is messed up now. Like we didn't have reserves somewhere. We've got Canada to bleed dry of oil. What's the matter with that?
Well, we traveled to British Columbia, to the province next to us, for Thanksgiving, and in our province, $1.32 a liter in northern Alberta. Get to southern Alberta, $1.45, $1.48. As soon as you cross into British Columbia, $1.79.9, $1.80 per liter, and the diesel was over $2 a liter.
Well,
No, Bill has that app that they can punch in. It converts the Canadian to the US dollar, and it reverts the gallon to the liters, and it'll tell compare it to what we're paying, kind of
oh,
thing.
good.
Yeah. But
Did that for pesos too?
yes,
Yeah,
that,
it will.
oh, I don't know what app that is. I know you've shared it before, Bill. But
I'm working on it. I'll bring it up in a minute.
okay.
Okay.
See, I've got my apps ready for the trip. I've got the border crossing one. What's it called? I got the thing called Gas Buddy,
Yeah, I have gas buddy.
CBPBWT. That's the U.S. border ports of entry, Canada or Mexico, and I could get the wait times for entering the United States.
Oh, speaking of technology, we bought a new car, a Toyota,
Oh yeah.
and it's got the operation manual, which is an inch thick, and then it's got another manual just for controlling the dashboard and controlling all the electronics, the sensors for this car, because
So
it's got impact alert. If it won't hit a wall, it'll stop before it hits the wall. And of course, it's got cruise control. We've had that before. And then when you park, the cameras are around the edges of the car come on and show you where you are in relation to the curb. And then there's an overhead view, which is amazing to me because what they're doing is they're sampling from the other four cameras to make an aerial view of your car.
Wow.
holy,
And I haven't seen it yet in the manual, but I've heard that the car will know when I'm in Mexico and change to
kilometers.
kilometers on the dashboard because it's all electronic dashboard. There's no physical gauges at all. So it's taken a long time to learn, and I'll probably never know everything about it.
Yeah.
I have a story to relate about the vehicles user guide. We rented a car at one point, and we were driving it. We were going to fill it up with gas, and I'm looking for. You always find a little lever somewhere down along your left leg. And I couldn't find anything. Nothing under the seat. Nowhere could I find a opening to open the door. So, and we looked in the manual. There is nothing. No, there was no manual. It was a rental car, and they'd left the manual out. So, and we stopped at a service station, asked the guy. He says, "How do you get into this thing?" He says, "I don't know.
It's
just something."
I got a screwdriver.
Yeah, well, turns out it's old school. The ones you just push with your finger and they pop open. and you push
Can
them
I
and
have
they
my
lock.
phone now?
Jimmy, give her her
Can I
goddamn
have my
phone.
Jim, use your words. Use your
I'm sorry.
words.
I'm trying to get Linda logged into to something here, guys. So I didn't even hear what Bill said. Sorry, guys.
I said, give her the goddamn phone.
Linda, they're saying give you the goddamn phone.
Yeah,
It's not
please.
ready.
What did
I
it
can't give it to you.
What did it need to do? Okay.
All right. Sorry, guys. 0855. Okay.
He's talking to himself now.
I am. I'm going to mute myself.
We said too early that we had fixed the Linda's watch problem, but yeah. Yeah, so
Now the phone is telling him the time of day, but nothing else.
Add 1 hour.
And Bill left.
yeah, he's working with his timers and his he's changed the wake word on one of our dots to the word computer. So every time I say anything about computer club or whatever, she starts giving us these things, you know, away she goes. So we need to change her word. One of them is Alexa, one of them is computer, the other one is Echo, and oh my goodness. We have more things waking up in this house.
With my car, it's hey Toyota.
Hey Toyota, yeah. So are you liking the new car, or have you?
Yeah, we for the past 6 years we had this Highlander, and so we went to look to replace it, and in 2024 they have the Grand Highlander, which is a foot longer and 2.5 inches wider.
Oh my goodness.
So the foot longer is in the cargo space and the third row seat. So the third row seat can fit adults comfortably. Well, they say comfortably, but it's all relative. I guess if you've been on an airplane, it's comfortable.
Yeah, it's how do you get into them? Is
Yeah.
Into it.
Well, they've got things to touch as you're on your way in to support yourself.
Oh.
So there's a method to getting in. But
so how many seats in that thing? Like 3 benches,
it's
or?
seat 7. Seat 7.
Okay.
It's a school bus, a short bus.
Yeah.
Okay, I got an update on the converting the gas price thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's called Convert Gas Price, all one word, convertgasprice.com.
Oh, it's just a website. It's not an app.
No, it's a website. It's running on my laptop. I'm sure you can get it on the other one too. It's just a website, yeah. And
Okay.
right now I got Canadian in $1.35 per liter, which is low for here right now, is $3.78 US price gallon. And if
And what did you say? California?
What?
How much did you say it was in California, Paul?
Oh, it's let's see. I guess it's just under $5 now.
5. That's 179 Canadian. So when we see, what did we see the highest we saw in?
180, 179.9.
Okay, so it's the same price, exact same price, and this thing converts dollars and gallons to liters, whatever you want.
Well, what confounds me is that I'm in LA, where the gas is refined, produced, and distributed throughout the West, and the gas is higher here than it is in the rest of the West.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
after transport, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
We've always said that about Alberta. You know, the gas pumps, everything is pumping right out of the ground. And, yeah.
Well, we went from here to Vancouver one time, and we thought, we'll fill up here because it's going to be cheaper. Vancouver's out on the coast; they don't have any oil and gas, and it got cheaper all the way to Vancouver. It was the cheapest gas we had was there, so we made sure we filled up before we came home.
Well, what you need is a oil pump out in your yard and a refinery in your garage.
Yeah. You can go with a diesel truck with a conversion on it and use restaurant oil and fat. You can run it through a process and you can burn it if you want.
So this app, Bill, I can change it to Mexico. Does anybody know how much fuel is in Mexico right now?
Nobody knows.
It used to be
I
about.
missed the name of this app. What's this app called?
It's not an app. It's a website. It's called Convert Gas.
No, convertgasprice.com.
Yes.
All one word.
Okay.
I
Convert
got
gas
Mexican up
price.
here. What's the price of Mexican gas right now?
Well, I put 20 pesos per liter, and it comes out.
No. I just want the price.
Oh.
Yeah, the price
20?
is. The price right now is like $23.30 per liter. It's really high.
Yeah, 23.3. Okay.
That's $1.79 here. That's as high as it gets.
Yeah, that's equivalent to BC prices. We're cheaper here in Alberta. There you go. And then the diesel, that was what really got me, was the $2 a liter. So the wait time at Nogales crossing into the United States right now at Mariposa is 60 minutes.
Whoa.
And they've been saying that it's been quite long. Century Lane is less than 10 downtown. But it's 60 minutes downtown as well.
I think it has to do with how many agents they have passing the people through.
Yeah, and they say that they're being dispersed out to the non-crossings for border control.
Oh, really?
That's what, yeah.
Well,
That's
I
what
figure when you watch them operate, they're not in a big hurry because they've got an endless supply of cars to talk to.
Listen, one time we were crossing at Mariposa, and we got second from the front, like the next car was supposed to go in. The agent pulled out a cone, sat it in front of the car that was there, and walked away. 15 minutes later, he came back, took the cone out, and started processing again. I think he just, needed a break.
Yeah.
A nature stop.
Nature stop. Yeah.
So the current wait time where we're going to cross into the United States next Thursday is 10 minutes at Sweetgrass.
Well, to be fair, at Sweetgrass, there's nothing but miles of prairie on each side of it. But the only thing that gets you wait times there is it's a major truck crossing.
Or everybody coming home from COVID.
Yeah.
that was the one time we had to sit there for a while.
Well, my worst experience crossing the border into the United States from Mexico, it took us 5 hours to get there from San Carlos, natural, and then five hours to cross. And that was a weekend it was a Sunday in January. And it was the weekend just before the school goes back into session in Los Angeles and a lot of places. So all those paisanos were going home to get their kids back in school, and it was I was running out of gas. You know how the hill to the border, you're going downhill at the last part there, and I turned the engine off, and I would roll the car and then apply the handbrake.
Well,
That's better than an electric car. Of course, the funniest thing about electric cars I saw was a picture of a charging station, uh, and it was a pedestal device like that, and next to it was a diesel generator. So as long as you can get diesel, you can run your electric car. There's a lot of controversy as to whether we'll ever go all electric because of some insurmountable problems. What do you guys think about that? I'm not going to have to worry about it. I'm 82.
yeah.
I'm hoping that there's an electric cloud for me in heaven.
Solar powered wings, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm just adding convertgasprice.com to our document.
How many more minutes do we have on this?
Oh, I don't know. It hasn't given me any notices. It did that the last time I was.
Yeah, the last time Cheryl ran it, it just goes.
Yeah.
It's only when Scott runs it, does it get timed out.
Well,
It
when it told me that I was going, it told me I was only going to have 60 minutes, but I've been on for more than 60 minutes now because Scott and I were on since about 1:45. So I don't think we're getting a time limit today.
Good. Talk through lunch.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't seem to be giving us any warning, does it?
Nope.
Interesting. Well, I like the convertgas.com. I think I'm going to stick that on my website so it's available, a place to remember where it is. I put a couple of news articles in here, but why don't we just let them sit until I can host the meeting next week and we can talk about them? Or they might even be stale by then.
I'm keen.
Well, I'm going to be in San Carlos on the 26th of this month.
I have
so then I can go in person.
All right. Well, I am planning on doing in-person meetings a week from today. So that's when we'll start. I have a story I can share. It just happened to me this morning, and I thought it would be interesting to note. Here in the office, we have a Google Nest Wi-Fi Pro. It's 4 nodes. One of them is acting as the main router, and the other 3 are distributed throughout the office. One is so far away that it's at the end of a Ethernet cable. And the Ethernet cable comes all the way back into our network closet, connects to a switch. The switch can support up to something like 20 different hardwired connections and devices. And that switch is fed by the Google Nest Wi-Fi Pro router. Paul, I don't think I can mute you. Can you mute yourself though? Because I'm coming through your speakers. Thank you. So this is a mesh network like we've talked about before. This is a consumer mesh network. You could have bought this at Best Buy or on Amazon and brought it to install in your house. I set it up about a month ago. It's been working great until last week. Last week, I start getting reports that people are having problems with bandwidth, that it's going too slow, but it's random. There are also people reporting to me in areas of the office it's working just fine. In other areas, it's not. Keep in mind, it was working just fine everywhere a month ago. Nothing has changed. But something has changed. Something has definitely changed. I go to the back of the office. I start testing Wi-Fi in different locations. And what I discover is that the one node that has a cable connected to it back to the switch, it's getting the full amount of internet you could get from our internet provider. In this case, it's around 500 megabits a second. Everywhere else, however, it's 40 or less. So it's like it's less by 10 times what it should be. And I start playing around with it, and I definitely narrow it down to the router itself. Its Wi-Fi, when you connect to it, you get these really slow bandwidths. There aren't a lot of controls that can be set to make that happen, and it's not supposed to happen. And so the only conclusion I was able to come up with after diagnosing what was going on was reset the whole network and see if it still has the same problem. And so that's what I did this morning. It's one of the reasons that I have been so distracted and not ready for this meeting is because I spent my morning flashing the entire network back to factory defaults, which you can do in the app. You can say factory reset the whole network. And then after you've done that, and actually before you've done that, make sure you've written down all your network stuff because there's some specific stuff that needs to go into that network. So I was documenting the network. I flashed the network to factory settings, set up the router, immediately tested that before I hooked up any of the other nodes to it, and I'm back to getting full speeds across that Wi-Fi. Again, the Wi-Fi as it sat had gotten full speeds for a month, and then all of a sudden it was going to a tenth the speed. Yeah, Bill.
I was just wondering if you had an AI bot running on that laptop and you flashed it, are you being charged with indecent exposure?
Yeah. And here I thought you would just be making smart-ass remarks instead of having something genuine to contribute to the conversation.
I got nothing else to contribute.
Look at my surprise.
Yeah, look at that.
So it worked. All of a sudden we're getting those fast speeds again. And again, nobody changed anything. Not the placement, not the cable, not the reboot, no configurations. I'm the only one that touches it. It's just it worked great for a month. And sometime last week, it started giving these slow speeds in parts of the office. So then, because I factory reset essentially the network, you can't just do one in these mesh circumstances. I had to go to each other node and set each one up. I was so concerned about re-inducing the problem that every time I set one up, I would go do a speed test to make sure I had not caused the problem again. And I got the whole network back up. Everything's working just fine, exactly the way it was a month ago. So now we get to keep an eye on it for another month and see if the problem comes back at some point. But I could not find any other fix in all the different settings they have. And even more infuriating, every piece of software from Google talking about these devices is saying they're in perfect health. But they obviously aren't because they're going 1/10 the speed it's supposed to be going. And the node that was at the end of the cable was getting full. So that one was working just fine, but it was people connecting to the other end of the office that was having problems. So it was very specific to one or two nodes in the other side of the office. But flashing it to 0 and setting it all up again fixed the problem. A problem I didn't create, a problem no one created, but had to be fixed. I guess that's what I'm emphasizing, is Google and many of these router manufacturers And I don't think they're wrong. They are following a paradigm where they are updating themselves with the latest softwares. And I would not be, I'm not monitoring it. I may have to start monitoring it because I can't tell whether we had an update or not since I last looked at this stuff. But my theory is that a Google update came down and there was something about the configurations that just didn't jive. Maybe a power outage at the exact same time. Maybe something scrambled it, but it just wasn't working right. And by flashing it back to 0, telling it to start and set up everything again, that resolved the problem. So I guess if you're following what I'm talking about is the device may have updated itself automatically, but may not have been quite compatible with whatever settings were left in it from the previous version. Which it's easy to imagine that kind of problem on any particular device. And that would be the reason for my story. Look at how something that was working just fine and set up just fine stopped working and had to be set up again for it to work just fine again.
Bill has his hand up,
Yes, Bill.
but he's muted.
I just didn't take it down from being recognized the other time. I was so surprised at the expediency of the request.
That he hasn't had a chance to think of another smart-ass remark. It's just happened too quickly.
Oh no, I got lots of them. I don't feed them in too fast.
So we just got Bill just forwarded to me an email. Join Sam's Club now, get $35 off your club membership. We did this, 2 years ago, Bill? I think.
Yes.
$15, and our Sam's Club membership, we signed up while we were in Canada, and then we had the thing, and once we got to the US, we were able to pick up our cards. We got 2 cards for $15 for the year, and they worked in the one in Guaymas. So maybe we'll do that again, hey? But it has to be by October 15th to get the offer. So.
Hey, I'm curious. Does that mean you let it lapse? Like you took advantage of that price last time and then you let it expire because they weren't giving you a deal again? Or have they come back to you with a new deal for this year?
No, this is the first time they made that offer again. That we we did. We just let it lapse. It was at $30. We didn't think we were all that enthusiastic. I think the first time it was $15, but you got a $10 electronic gift card, so it was down to $5. The only trouble is, by the time we got down there, I couldn't find the electronic gift card anymore, so they wouldn't give it to us. It's the equivalent of putting it in a safe place, putting something in a safe place in your house. And Paul understands exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I'm curious, are you guys maintaining a Prime account?
We do have a Prime Canada, and we had a US Prime that we signed up for, a free trial thing, only we forgot to take it off. So for a few months there, we were paying both of them. But we have got our Canada Prime one, and we'll keep it going all year. And we are now, Bill is, an owner of an Amazon credit card, Canada. Amazon credit card. So we've already earned a couple of $10 gift cards back on the account, and we're paying off our Amazon Fire TV.
You're paying off with an Amazon card.
Yeah.
You're getting points for buying their equipment. That's pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Well, I only ask because I'm somewhat familiar with the way you guys are doing your finances, and you like to to ride that wire and get discounts on things. Like for me, I've been a Prime member simply because I'm too lazy to shut it off. And we do watch the movies, and we do take advantage of the streaming, but quite literally the reason I haven't tried to juggle it or game it is because I just don't have the patience for it. And I really feel like that's where a lot of these services are making their money, is from people like me, where it's like, it's just $150 once a year, and I don't have to worry. Every time I hit the button, it's doing what I expect it to do. It's not trying to sell me anything more. It's gonna give it to me at the best shipping price if possible. It's gonna give it to me tomorrow if it's possible.
Yeah.
And I get to watch the movies and listen to the music, and my Alexa works. But what I'm hearing in the tech news that I follow is that more and more people are considering leaving Prime, or have left Prime, because they've continued to raise the price, and they haven't done much to offer more value to it. It's more like they've dialed in with what they keep playing with, that ceiling of how much people will tolerate for a price. And just recently, it's reached a price where people are like, no, I'm not getting enough out of this for
Hmm.
me to want to pay that yearly. And I'm not watching the movies, and Prime shipping isn't on every product that I'm buying. So how expensive is it just to pay for shipping when I need it, or to do slow shipping? Because there's so many products on Amazon, it still gets free shipping if you're not in a hurry. And so there's a number of people in these tech circles that I'm aware of just from the news I follow, who have said, no, I'm done paying for that. I'd rather use that money for something else, and pay the shipping when I need something shipped.
Yeah, see, the Amazon Prime, we have always had because of the shipping, and then watching and actually reading as well, because they have quite a few online books and stuff that you can access. I haven't gone there yet, but I've just started watching on Amazon Prime. So we have it mainly for the shopping.
Well, and I've done the same thing with Microsoft's Game Pass,
Oh,
which in the industry is considered fairly expensive, and if you can figure out a way to game around that pricing, it's considered better. Uh, but I've held on to it simply out of convenience. My kids love having access to the games. I do too, but quite honestly, I could probably narrow it down to 3 or 4 games that matter to me. And within a couple of years of Game Pass, I could have bought them for myself. I don't have to be renting them. That's essentially what it is you're using a system to play games that's very similar to Netflix's system for watching movies. They're
hmm.
all there, and you can watch it whenever you want. Uh, so I don't know. I think I was one of these people at the beginning. It's like I'm never going to get into these micropayments. I stand tall against them. And I think, Cheryl, you and Bill do a better job of getting out of those kinds of things than I do, because for me, it's just the convenience of when I hit the button, it works. And I wonder how many of me there are out there, because Netflix, they stopped password sharing, had a whole crackdown, and they all of a sudden had something like 3.6 million new subscribers, right? Because those people hit the button, and all of a sudden they had to come up with their own account or stop using Netflix.
Well, I got a comment on Amazon's services. Uh, just lately, they've started delivering with their Amazon van. They've cut out the little private guys. And we ever since COVID lockdown, we've been kind of friendly with those guys. There's some of those guys we knew their first name. Now they're
Right.
gone.
Now they're gone because
Yeah.
Amazon
Amazon,
moved into that space.
It's a
yeah,
problem.
oh yeah, the
Yeah.
big gray vans are everywhere now.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting. I heard there's a lot more online shopping being done through other services now. And I guess the reason this is in the news is because of this lawsuit that's going on with Amazon and their monopolistic practices. In fact, that's one of the topics I brought today that I have not given enough attention to. But the FTC is accusing Amazon of manipulating prices using a secret algorithm that made them $1 billion. And essentially, what this algorithm would do is it would raise Amazon prices and watch and see if the competition would raise their prices. Like they already have algorithms that are seeing what the going price is for, how much it is, and then their algorithm can go, well, what if we come in $1 less than that? Like here's all the competition in our marketplace for the same product. What if we drop ours by $1? Well, of course, that's the product that's getting bought. All of a sudden, this competition has gotten knocked out of their own marketplace. If they want to be taken seriously, the competition that already pays for placement in the marketplace, they do that because Amazon takes a percentage of whatever's sold through them, plus charges them whatever the service fee is for delivering their products for them. But if they want to be selected above Amazon, then they will also buy additional Amazon advertising so that their product will sit prominently in the first results. So it's like triple dipping I mean, when you put it like that, it's pretty clear why the FTC has a grievance with Amazon. I think it was less straightforward when you go back to our beginnings. And Amazon's like, yeah, I'm going to sell books, but I hope that we can sell anything, and we can sell anything for anybody. We'll create this big flea market where anybody can sell anything they want. This marketplace. And that all seemed like a fairly decent way to do it, but what we weren't thinking at the time, and who knows if regulation back then would make sense. Maybe it just doesn't make sense until you end up this big. Because they did. They made it possible there are vendors out there right now that would have no business if they didn't have a marketplace like Amazon to sell their products. These vendors never existed before Amazon. Well, Amazon and China, because you can put together a product and have it delivered to customers without ever touching the product, without having any involvement in its manufacturing, other than designing and engineering schematics. But all of that happens in China, and it all gets distributed through Amazon. And I mean, that's all very impressive, the way our world is working in that respect. But what we're seeing now, because the marketplace is Amazon, they have all the numbers. They know how many times somebody clicked on the competition and didn't buy it, or did buy it, or what the difference in those prices were, what caused them to go back to the other product to buy it. They've got all those numbers. So now they're playing around with stuff like let's raise the price and see what the competition does. And they'll raise the price, and if competition doesn't do anything, but it doesn't change sales, then they'll leave it up there and get the extra $1, whatever it might be. If they raise the price and competition raises the price, well, then they're aware that there's some more headroom there. People are the only reason the competition was selling it at that lower price was because Amazon was selling it at that lower price. The moment Amazon brought it up, the rest of the competition said, oh my gosh, we can finally earn an extra buck on this stuff, because they're competing against Amazon. So they've got to keep their prices low enough to compete against Amazon in their same marketplace. There's also some stuff in here about if they raise the price and the competition doesn't raise their price, then this algorithm will wait a while to see what purchasing behavior is like. And if the algorithm sees that purchasing declines after they raise the price, then the algorithm will put the price back down to meet up with that, to match up with that demand. And all of that is just the algorithm's learning human behavior and against the competition that exists in the same marketplace. And it's only being used to better Amazon's position. None of the competition is able to take advantage of any of that kind of stuff. Anyway, It's an interesting article. It talks about how Amazon's been running these kinds of algorithms, and the most recent one they've been caught with is this one called Project Nessie. And it was all about trying to match pricing. Now, their Amazon's position is that they were trying to stop price matching from unusual outcomes, like, say, an algorithm that automatically was price matching all the way down to $1 or zero cents. Then I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. That wouldn't help the competition, wouldn't help Amazon. There'd still be shipping involved in it. I'm sorry, I'm getting other messages here.
Need to get back to work?
I need to get back to work, but it's always nice talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about prices, and excuse me just a minute, I'm trying to get organized here. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience with, I teach management classes. So I got a call one time from one of the local reporters here in Anchorage, and she said she had sat in on a focus group that Walmart was having, asking how they could improve their service and so forth. And she said that one of the suggestions that came out of the focus group was it'd be better if they stayed open an hour longer and in the evening. And the next day, they changed their time. And she was asking, did I think that was an effective approach? And it was interesting to just think about, why would you question that? I mean, obviously, if customers are asking for that, then you try it and see if it works. And who's been much more successful than Walmart, unfortunately. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting because, you know, once they raise it an hour, then it's going to be pretty awkward to drop it back down again, I suppose. But I was also intrigued with her question that she really questioned whether it was valuable. Didn't have to do with money, but time.
A suggestion would be to publish more pictures of people in goofy clothing.
Right. Okay, I'm busy making a bed, so
I've never seen any of those people in the Walmart when I was shopping. I'd like to increase the percentage.
Yeah, right. There's lots of changes that could be made there, that's for sure.
The odds of the odds.
You're right. Anyway, I would agree with what Scott described as the way he dealt with things. So I guess it's like son, like father, because we just kind of keep the Prime and Netflix and don't think too much about it. We've got it and we use it, so we don't spend much time worrying about it. We like it, and we don't complain about it, but it does make you wonder, especially with Amazon, the way they keep raising their prices. But at this point, we haven't reconsidered it. So I must admit, as much as I resist going to Amazon, I just find it's the easiest thing to do. In fact, that's what I'm going to do right after we're done here.
Yeah.
Something I want to order.
Yeah, I'm really starting to reach a position where I'm thinking that Amazon has got to split into two different entities. And the government may have to regulate a marketplace because people aren't going to stores anymore. I mean, they do. I'm speaking metaphorically, but it really is having the bulk of our shopping is happening online. And how can you have a marketplace that's just so disjointed with the people that are running it? It feels like it needs to be two different entities. But there are smarter people than me working on those problems. Well, it's that time in the meeting. Cheryl, do
Yeah.
you want to say it?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything. I finished my Bosch, the whole series. I'm up to date on the series, and now I've moved right into Bosch Legacy. So he's changed jobs, and I'm still binge budding Bosch. I noticed that I was looking for when are my September shows coming back on, but because of the writers' strike and now the actors' strike that's still going on, things like Grey's Anatomy and the weekly shows, they're not coming back probably till 24. They figure January before anything's going to be back with them. So that's my update on what I'm watching.
Hey, aren't the actors still on strike?
Yeah, the actors still are. Yeah, they didn't
So
settle.
that's really interesting. I have heard no news about this, but why wouldn't the writers stay on strike for the actors? The actors came out on strike for the writers. Could it be that part of their new contract is they had to stop picketing? Like they couldn't show their support for the actors by staying on the line until the actors got their contract?
I don't know. I can't imagine that they'd be able to write that into their.
But doesn't it seem weird that they wouldn't just stay out there on the line until it was all resolved? Because the
I
actors
think the
have the
idea
same
was
position.
that they were going to settle, and then that the Actors Guild would then settle with them. You know what I mean? Like I think that was kind of the idea.
Well,
But
I follow that Adam, what's his name? Adam ruins everything. I forget what his last name is. Starts with a C. He's on Instagram all the time. But he was one of the negotiators,
oh yeah,
and he's so dynamic and funny. He's been great to follow on Instagram because he's been given all kinds of updates of where they are, what they're doing, and he's a writer and an actor. And so he's like many of his they've got a foot in both camps. And so immediately the writers' strike ends, and he just switches right over to we're still striking for actors. He has a couple of taglines too. One of them during the writers' strike is until we have a fair deal, there will be no writing. And now he's ending his with until there's a fair deal, there'll be no acting.
mm-hmm.
And I just find it really interesting because nobody has summarized why the writers are leaving the picket line when the actors haven't been resolved yet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what's
Yeah,
going on.
just interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, about the only recommendation I have to give anybody is you should have been at Power Trip. It was an awesome time.
So, how many bands did you see or hear?
Six large like spectacle bands, like the heavy metal equivalents of like a Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
The yeah,
No.
we were in a crowd of 80,000 people. That's what the newspaper reported on the last night. We had 80,000 people there watching Metallica and Tool. And
Yeah.
we barely could see the screen. We could barely see the stage. They looked like ants. They were so far away. But they had these just huge screens that they were projecting everything on. And in some cases, it was wonderful because you go and watch a band play, and sure you can see the band, but you don't really get to look at what they're doing. You have them playing. And with these screens, they would zoom right in, and you'd watch Kurt playing on the guitar. You'd see him picking at chords, and you get right in there in the drums and see them interacting with each other. So in some respects, that was a great way to deal with such a spectacle. Because even with binoculars, you wouldn't have enjoyed watching the stage from where we were. It's too far away to see it. We were like 4 football fields away from the stage. It was crazy.
Yeah, but the whole character, the whole atmosphere. I saw
Yeah.
that video, everybody dancing around and stuff. So I don't know if that was Metallica or was that who else?
Well, that video was from the last night, so it was either Tool or Metallica.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One or the other.
And
But
then the day before was
Judas Priest and AC/DC.
okay.
and then the day before that was Iron Maiden and Guns N' Roses.
Oh, Guns N' Roses. There you go.
Yeah, well, and it was a shame. I'm not a Guns N' Roses fan, and I really felt bad for Axl because Axl Rose, did not sound good. He's 61 years old. Guns N' Roses lead singer,
Yes.
and he used to be this wispy, thin, just like a rail guy. He almost looked like a girl. He would probably be, he'd probably be non-binary in this day and age, the way
Yeah.
his look was. And here he is at 61. He's fatter than I am, and his voice is breaking up on him, and it just sounded bad. Somebody made the comment that it was like he was singing songs at karaoke. We actually we made an exit before he was done. We and it was a mass exodus. It was hundreds and hundreds of people were fleeing our area as he was singing. Just troves of people are leaving, exiting the venue. And then we get back to our camp location, which is very close to the venue, and we listen to him perform for another hour and a half in the distance, all joking that his music got better the farther away we got from it. But all joking aside, I was more impressed with him than I've ever been. I've been aware of him most of his career, never been a fan. But he belted out music for 3 hours straight. And he ran around the stage, and he had stage presence. I mean, he was there to do it. And even though he was the worst sounding singer out of all those bands, he was not trying to phone it in at all. He was there for it. I found that impressive, even though I didn't find the music all that impressive.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was impressive about these guys, they all have images to maintain. Like Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson, he has these costumes and these huge puppets and these things that come. Well, he's like in a full body suit with a cloak on, and it's 95 degrees out, and he's up on this stage in just a full body suit. Yeah, what's his name from Judas Priest? I'm not a Judas Priest fan either. I can't remember his name at the moment. He's in full leather pants, leather jacket, right? And we are we're in shorts and we are sweating, sitting there watching him. and he's singing, and you can see he's just glistening. They had to have been doing something to keep them standing up because it was so hot. And every performer came out on stage talking about how hot it was. They're just drenched. I thought somebody was going to short themselves out. But a great show. So anyway, consequently, I don't have any show or movie recommendations this week.
No, but that was your entertainment show or whatever, your review.
Yeah, we had a great time. It was awesome.
Well, Amazon Prime days are on, and I just found something that I think I want to put on the wish list and delivery tomorrow. So.
Oh boy, well we should probably all exit then. I got to do some Amazon shopping myself.
It's a little mini vacuum cleaner thing for the car, but you can also use it for your keyboards and everything. So it's technology related, guys.
There you go.
Did you buy it on Amazon?
There's $8 coupon, so it's only going to be what, $15.
All right.
Those products always work better in the ads than they do when you get them home. I know
Yeah,
that.
it's right out front.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Got lots of reviews on it, so there we go. And easy return. We've started checking the return policies quite a bit before we purchase.
Oh, I'm gonna do a return. I bought some earplugs for this concert, and they get pretty expensive, and so I had 2 sets that didn't get used, so I'm gonna return them to Amazon. This will be a first experience for me. They didn't give me. In fact, they were gonna charge me more if I was gonna ship them, if I had to print out a label, put it in a box, and get it to a UPS driver or an Amazon driver, there was going to be a shipping cost associated with it. But then they gave me a half a dozen places around town I could bring it to, and they would box it up and label it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so today will be one of my first experiences going to a place like a Staples and having them do it for me.
We've been returning to Pure Later and who else, dear?
UPS.
UPS. Anyway, and now they have kiosks. You walk up to it and you scan your label, you print it out, and then you put it in this little kiosk, and it goes zip zip, and it's gone. It just sucks it right into the other world somewhere. It's awesome.
Yeah, I had a similar kind of experience for the first time when I was back in Alaska. I don't remember being sucked into a box, but they had a kiosk. You gave it your QR code, printed out the label, you stuck it in a bag, wrapped the label around the bag, and dropped it in this case, it had like a cubby hole, and you just dropped it in the hole, and then they would come along and empty the box. And
Well,
but yeah,
this one has a turntable on it. It turns in and it's shielded, and then it opens up and it's gone. Like a little kid would be just enthralled with this thing. They'd want to put more stuff in it.
Like those classic mailboxes.
Yeah, where you pull the thing down and then you come up and it's gone. But
Yeah.
Bill, tell them about the garbage can ones.
Oh, up here, I don't know. They probably have them where you guys are. They have these garbages like in the small mini malls that are really they're like 12 foot across and about 30 feet deep. They're just a big pit with a big bag in it. And they come along with the truck and they open, they drop the contents in, put this big poly bag back in this hole. Anyway, I saw on a TikTok some kids were fooling around with this, and the ones we have here is that you just open the lid and there's a big hole. You just throw your whatever away into it. This one had a platform that you put your stuff on, and when you close the lid, it disappeared. It dropped out. So you supposedly couldn't fall into it, I guess. Anyway, these kids were fooling around with it. One kid climbed in and sat down, and the other kid closed the lid. And at the end, all you could hear is, "Help! Help me! Help me!" He was 30 feet below. Hopefully, there was some garbage in there to land on.
Jeez, that's scary.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I bet you never did it again.
Yeah, right.
Well, scary thing that kids do. We have the West Edmonton Mall. It's the largest.
Pardon me.
I don't know if it's world. I think I don't know. But anyway, it's a very large mall, and the about 4 different parking garages, and 3 kids, 17-year-old driving, 15-year-old passenger, and a just 18-year-old jerking around, puts his head up through the sunroof. Didn't survive when they hit the crossfire bars.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a sad story.
That is a sad story. Yeah.
We occasionally have,
just fooling around, standing up in the thing as somebody's driving.
Yeah. Guys, I gotta go. I gotta let you go.
Okay.
Cheryl, thank you for being in charge. I'm gonna let you say goodbye, Cheryl.
Okay. I guess I'll say goodbye.
Scott, when are you heading to Mexico?
This weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a good trip.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. You did a good job.
Oh, there you go. It was good seeing you, Paul. You're headed down to Mexico too?
Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
Cheryl, I wanted to ask you a question.
The 26th we'll be there.
Yes?
Actually, I got a couple questions, I guess. You mentioned, what was the name of the show you said you just have been watching?
Bosch.
Bosch, yeah. I really like him. And Sandy, she's never said she doesn't like him, but she's never enthusiastic when I want to watch him. So we haven't done much. I, on the other hand, could do just what you did and watch the
Yeah.
whole thing. So I had wondered with Sandy if it was a more of a woman kind of thing, but it doesn't sound like it if you enjoy it.
Well, I find the chase scenes and the some of the soundtrack a little bit slow, and I like the storylines and I like the actors and everybody in it, but I find sometimes it's a little bit easier to be distracted from. I guess it doesn't keep my attention as well as some things do.
You know, that's a great description because I find that is when Sandy loses interest.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, are you familiar with Arctic Air?
Arctic Air?
Arctic
No.
Air. We have been loving it. It's a wonderful TV series. We started watching it in Prime, I think, and then about the third season, they were going to start charging us, and we switched to Freevee, and to our surprise, we could have had the entire thing on Freevee.
Oh.
And it's just wonderful. It takes place out of Yellow Jacket, and the whole thing is about the Northwest Territories. Reminds us so much of what goes on up here in Alaska. In fact, I was telling Sandy last night, we were watching a kind of a recovery on a mountaintop that they were doing, and it just looked like something Talkeetna would be doing for Alaska.
Cool.
And so we've thoroughly enjoyed that. And unfortunately, we finished it last night, so we don't get to watch it anymore unless we rewatch it. But it was just delightful.
What was that one, the newspaper girl in Alaska? The something daily.
Alaska Daily.
Alaska Daily. I wonder if it's coming back on. Or
It should. We thought it was so great. You know, we have so many shows, Alaska shows that disappoint us, and we just thought that one would really provide some new quality to thinking about television in Alaska. And they had such a good purpose. And fortunately, both at least one of the TV stations and of course, Alaska Daily was kind of based on the local newspaper here in Anchorage, and so a lot of it felt very relevant to the current folks we have working there and the folks that own it and so forth. But you know, everything about that show impressed us, especially the focus on the indigenous the native women up here that disappear. And we had a great example just this last summer because somebody fell off a cruise ship, and they spent a couple $100,000 trying to find her. And at the same time, we'd lost an indigent woman, and no one was paying any attention to it. You know.
Yeah.
So we really are starting to see a much greater awareness, and I think it's coming from that show. And I had really hoped that it would become popular. It was on CBS, and you know, then they put it on Hulu, so you can still find it on Hulu. And just a delightful show. I just thought it was so well done.
Well, I know that for our book club this year, one of the girls is doing that one. What's it called? I read it this summer, and I told you guys about it. I can't even find it in here. The Great Alone.
Oh yeah, I didn't read it, but Sandy just loved it.
Yeah, and so we're doing that as one of our book club meetings. And when we do that, we have a theme lunch, and we, you know, I'm doing nonfiction one, and it's Prince Harry's book, Spare.
Oh.
And so we're going to have high tea, and we're our fascinators, you know, and all this. So we have, you know, one day a month, usually in the winter months down in San Carlos, where about 6 or 8 of us get together and do a luncheon, and we do talk about the book, but we go off topics off of the book, you know, kind of things. So the Great Alone, we're going to have an Alaska day, but you know, I'll tell them about the TV shows too. So yeah.
Oh, you look like you're about ready to get gobbled up there.
Yes. Is that a woolly wombat? No. What
No,
is that?
that's my pet. Quagga.
Quada?
Quagga. Quagga.
Ah, where do they live?
From South Australia, south near Perth.
Yep.
There's an island called Rat Island, and these were the rats that they were referring to when they named the island. But they're marsupial mammals,
Like echidnas.
and they're almost tame because they've never been historically exposed to humans, and so people would take pictures of them, close-up pictures, and selfies with them. Well, now it's against the law to take a selfie with one because then you had to be right next to it.
Oh.
So, but they're cute little critters. Their facial expressions are very good.
Yeah.
How large do they get?
Oh, I think about 3 or 4 pounds.
Oh, uh-huh.
This is a juxtaposition where this one looks like it weighs 500 pounds.
Yes, it does. That's interesting. We spent a year in Australia. I don't remember even hearing about them.
Yeah, we went out to Perth, but I don't remember about Rat Island. But I damn near stepped on an echidna up in the center there, and he instead of burrowing like or going into the ground like a gopher or anything that we're familiar with, this thing just disappeared into the leaves. It was doing something with its legs, so he just went straight down. So he was kind of cool. But yeah, the wildlife, I was in grade 4 when I learned about Australia and the wildlife and the different creatures, the platypus, the koala and all these guys. And I decided then I was going to go. And I made it in 1985. I took a year off teaching and away I went. So I spent 6 months in the South Pacific.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, you did 6 years later, we went there in 91. Sandy was an international scholar that was going down to teach, and she was able to bring the whole family along. So both Scott and Stacy went to college down there at La Trobe in Bendigo, and we just had a wonderful year there.
Oh, well, we were in Bendigo. My cousins on my father's side have relatives there that have a sheep station. So we went and stayed for, I think, 3 or 4 nights with one of my cousins. And yeah, that was in that area. And then we traveled around, but we went by bus. And it was funny because we got to Sydney and very highly unseasonable. We got there in October, November, and it's supposed to be beginning of the summer. And they had all these rains and floods and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so we went and we bought our Circle Australia bus passes. So we had 30 or 40 days or something that we could jump on and off, and we could use our buses all over. So we bought this pass with both of us and we were talking to this agent. And then we were going and we were sitting in the little cafeteria waiting for our bus that we had chosen to start us up the coast. And the same agent saw us and he said, "How you going?" And my girlfriend and I said, "By bus." Seriously, you just
You took him literally, yeah.
So we soon figured out that "how you going" was
right.
what he was asking us. Yeah. But
we made the mistake of thinking going to Australia, we wouldn't have to learn another language.
Yeah.
That was a different place. I know one of the first things Andy went to was a training session in Melbourne, and I went along and I went out to get a case of soda, and when I'm buying it, the guy says, I wasn't buying a case actually.
Yeah.
And he said, why don't you get a slab? And I was too embarrassed to ask him what a slab was. Well, that was what a case was
Yes.
a slab,
Yeah, a slab of beer.
Yeah.
A slab of, yeah. It's sort of like here we call them a 2-4.
Or a flat.
Or a flat. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, a 2-4.
So we'd have new words to learn up there too then.
Yeah, 2-4 is a 24 pack of beer. usually. It's
Okay.
2-4 for your, yeah. Yeah, well, we just had our Thanksgiving weekend, and I know Bill found a YouTube, and it was a comedian talking about Canada Thanksgiving versus U.S. Thanksgiving, and he's talking to himself. He's switching, and then he said, well, what about Christmas? How is it Christmas different then? And did all the
Yeah.
different things. But we just had our Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving here is basically the harvest Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
It is more, it's way more that than the Plymouth Rock and the natives and all that kind of stuff. But our media outlet is trying to talk about the native aspect of Thanksgiving, but that's not even Canadian at all, totally American, so. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we had a new holiday. We have a new holiday in Canada. It's called Truth and Reconciliation Day, and it was October 1st. So that's going to be really close to our Canadian Thanksgiving every year, because Thanksgiving is the first or the second Monday in October.
Oh.
Yeah, so the two of them are quite close together. But, usually Thanksgiving isn't, to do with natives, and yeah. But we haven't had our turkey yet, so maybe Thanksgiving for the U.S. Thanksgiving will be in San Carlos. So we'll
You sure will be, won't you?
Yeah, we'll be there.
This will be one of the first times we haven't been there, so we're not leaving Alaska until after Thanksgiving. So.
So you're not doing the birthdays this year down there, hey?
No, Scott's family is going to come up for Christmas. We're taking them up to the White Mountains. We do that every other year. So we're going to do that instead of us going down. And we don't know how long we're going to be staying down south, because Sandy is, we're so unsure of what comes next. So we may have a relatively short period of time before we head back to Alaska.
Well, we hope it all works out for you guys.
So far, it's going very well. We just had her cousin and her husband come up to help us through this last week, and boy, we needed it. It was a difficult time with me having my surgery, and Sandy was having a more difficult time after the chemo than she'd had other than the first time she had it. So her sisters really worked hard to try to make sure we had somebody here for the chemo itself during that couple of days when we knew Sandy would have trouble with it. And so that worked out great. We just put them on the plane yesterday, and it was just wonderful having them here to help out. Then her sister will come up in November, and I don't quite know what we have planned for. It's coming up October 18th. We need to do it again. So we'll probably get somebody locally here to help us, one of Sandy's friends.
Yeah. Well,
but overall, I feel like it's going very well. She's pretty upbeat most of the time. In fact, she's in an exercise class now, if you can believe it.
Well, good for her.
She's just bound and determined to rise above it.
Yeah. Well, we wish her all the best, and you too. So.
Oh, thank you so much.
Both of you, be well.
Thanks. You folks too. Good to see you. All right. Enjoy your trips to Mexico.
Yeah. Well, see you down.
Bye-bye.
Back on.
I'm trying to record this. Let me try that again. Thank you, Cheryl, for recording that meeting for us, for being in charge so that I could be working at the same time. I really appreciate you being a guest host when I am occupied with other work on a Tuesday morning. As we mentioned before, we will go back to in-person meetings starting next Tuesday, the 17th. So I will see you in Tequilas if you're in San Carlos. Otherwise, I'll see you online in these virtual meetings. We'll continue those as well. Until next Tuesday, everybody, tech on.